Welcome everyone to our IAPC&M authors series, which you can also find on our blog and which does complement our book review club, which so many of you are enjoying. Now, this is a really special series also for me, because if you are, thinking, knowing that you would love to get a book out there, but somehow it's just not happening, something's stopping you each time, there's 8 million reasons why you're not doing it, this is the place where we are extremely fortunate to interview authors who actually have made it till the end. So we'll be talking about, what the book has done for them, how they motivated themselves, all their story from the very beginning to having it published and actually also spreading it around. So I am always very excited and eager to hear the different tips and experience of the authors who are generous enough to share their time with us today. So my name is Judy Kennedy. I am your IAPC&M host. And today I am delighted to welcome Judy Barber. So Judy is a trained coach and a clean facilitator in a broad spectrum of areas, drawing on extensive studies and I must say life experience, which is not meant to make her feel very old. It's not that her life experience is extensive in years, but she has also lived, worked and traveled in over 40 countries. Now, Judy is, of course, also an author, which is why she is with us today, of not just one, nor just two, but of 3 books. So, Judy, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're delighted to have you here.
Welcome, fellow coaches.
Thank you. Now, 3 books. 3 books, that sounds like quite a palmarès. Do you want to give the title so that we all have an idea of what you write about?
Okay, well, should I start at the back or the
Yes, let's start at the back.
Start at the back. Okay, so the first book is Good Question, The Art of Asking Questions to Bring About Positive Change. And I had the idea for the book and then I met somebody at I can't remember, it was some kind of seminar, networking, wonderful occasion. And I told her the idea and she was so excited that she actually literally jumped up and down.
Wow.
Because coaching, questions are so important for coaching. Yes,
of course.
So she and her brother took me on and published the book for me. And what I did was contacted about everybody I knew from trainings and fellow coaches, and a few that people said, oh, well, you should get in touch with so-and-so. And there's 28 different people, mainly UK, one Australian and an American, but it was mainly UK people who are either coaches, facilitators, or speakers, all bent on making the world a better place one way or the other, by working with people and working on the soft human skills. So what I asked them all was, what's your favorite, what's the question that you use? And some people use a bunch of questions. And then when you ask that question, it really changes the space, changes the nature of the conversations, makes the difference, gets people to stop and think. So that's what that book is. So as well as coach trainings and life experience, that was a huge education for me to further develop friendships, or in some cases to make friendships. And also with most of them, I had to do quite a bit of editing. And sometimes it was an interview and I had to get it together. Somebody else, it was perfect. And I said, well, you need a comma there. And they said, no, I don't. And that was all we needed to do. So everybody in between.
Right. But so if I understand you well, so what you're basically saying is first you sort of had an idea.
Yes.
And then you were lucky or fortunate or whatsoever to have somebody who immediately responded very strongly to this idea, not just a tap on the shoulder like, oh, yeah, good idea, let's go for lunch sort of thing, but who really got excited about it, which gave you then, the belief and the confidence to think I really must pursue this. Because I think a lot of us already stop there. We have the idea and then, then we get all that negative thought about, oh, but, I'm not the first. Oh, but everybody writes on this. Oh, but why? Who's waiting to listen to me sort of thing. But so there you were fueled on by that very strong endorsement then from the people that you spoke to.
It's almost like, how do I put it? It's like it became a soul task. It was the world asking me to do something rather than me wanting to push my idea out. If that makes sense.
And I think that that is what you know. I mean, I think most of us, you know, if we're all coaches, right, on this program. So if we're motivated by something bigger than us, and if we're being of service for someone, then we are ready to overcome our limiting beliefs, to get outside our comfort zone, to really go and do all the work that needs to be done to get a book, right? It's not just an idea. There's an awful lot behind it. Okay, right, now, do you want to cover each three like this, or shall we just sort of go into, okay, so the first one, really, you had the idea, people reacted to it very strongly. Then you had the idea to involve other people, as in you asked these 20 or 25 other coaches, you know, what is the strongest question that you use, which has the most impact with your clients? And I think that's probably also a tip, because, to be honest, I think since what holds most of us back at the beginning is that silly little voice that as coaches we know we need to control, you know, about all the why me and who's waiting, etc. I mean, if you're then also involving other people, you're actually broadening, right? You're broadening the spectrum.
Well, that was the idea, because initially it came from when I was coaching, people so often say, good question.
Yes, yes.
And then when you wait,
yes,
and they speak again, the tone of voice has changed, everything's changed, and they've got access to more of themselves. So that was the idea, to find that from these other people. In a sense, that was easier. It was easier to write than my latest book, which I'll tell you about shortly, because it was an anthology, it was a collection.
Right.
But I think that was relatively easy for me to do, because I'd been teaching English in different ways. Everybody from people who were struggling up to A-level, English as a foreign language, well, another language. So I was quite good at working with other people's stuff and shaping it up. But we know how to do this as coaches. You know, the transferable skill we've got here is that we know how to help somebody access and reveal their own thought forms. And we know how to work on that without messing it up with our own imagery. And our own way of looking at things, which is why I like clean facilitation so much, because I'm not giving you ideas. I'm giving, you know, if you're my client, I'm giving you the space to let your own ideas emerge and evolve.
Right. But still, I mean, what you're saying is, I mean, there's, you know, one thing is the content. So, okay, for that first one, your content, you were clear, you wanted to interview, and you structured it in a certain way. But then, I mean, still, there's still another big step, you know, how.
Absolutely huge. And that they get at the end of it, they gave me a mug that said something world-class cat herding, and that's what it was. You know, trying to keep it, you know, and on that level, I don't recommend it. And if you do, probably go with 10 people rather than
Okay, that can be overwhelming, right?
Because it was a lot of work. Yeah.
So your latest book, so this had a different thought behind it.
Yes. And what happened was that I'd been writing the book in a scruffy notebook and adding to it and writing it in a cafe. And I was working with a friend who also publishes, but we were just doing various things together. And I had things organized on little cards. I had rows of little cards on the table, what would go where. And I wasn't really getting to where I could really see how to do it.
Right.
But I still had the determination that I would do it. And then one of the people who was involved in publishing my first book, who I can talk about, invited me to join a cohort of people, because she already liked and trusted me, but also liked my writing from working with me before. And so she invited people to join a small cohort of people, and we all published books at the same time.
Right.
And she's Debbie Jenkins. And this is the publishing company. The publishing company label is Intellectual Perspectives Press.
Okay.
So, earlier in November, so it's not been out very long yet, we all brought our books out on the same day, and she had got us through a whole process.
So this is the slow coach approach
book.
This is your latest baby. Okay, but I'm glad to hear that you struggled, because of course we're talking about, we all know the struggles, the glorious stories, we know there's a lot more behind it. So, I mean, for example, you had a burning desire to do it. So first of all, why? What was motivating you to write this book?
I mean, partly, to be honest, and we coaches know that, it's partly because, particularly one of my clients was saying, you're brilliant, you should be out there, far more people should know about you. I'd rather have you than so and so and so and so and so and so, naming pretty well known names.
Right.
And so that was encouraging, because I thought, if I can get it into a book, then that's useful for people, because there's plenty of people can't afford coaches, and a book is all they can do. But also then that would be clear to anybody who's interested in working with me, what it would be like working with me. And this one is the slow coach approach, and it's how good-hearted leaders can create positive change surprisingly quickly. And that's not I mean, it's got a little bit of a smile to it, but it's a serious point, because when you're relaxed and in a healthy space, and the people you're working with can sense that and feel that with you, and know that they'll be heard and know they'll be respected, then in that space there's space for creativity. If people are stressed, feeling judged, trying to meet a target, not sure because they've got so many bad memories of every teacher they had at school, it's very hard to get past your stutter and actually something.
Okay, so how did you get past the period, the point where you were stuck with all those cards, right? So you want to do it, you owe it to others to be seen and found easier, because as your client said, you're so good, you should be out there. So that gave you that confidence. But then I think a lot of us also struggle with the structure point. For some, it's, what do I put in it? It's actually creating content. But for many of us, me included, there's just so much that I want to talk about that I get totally lost in the forest. And so instead of, writing 20 books, I end up writing none. So how did you get beyond all those, cards that you said that you had, and into an actual structure?
The cards were the part of getting into the natural structure, that what had been in the notebook was, this bright idea, I'll write this one down. And then later, well, that one goes with that. And it was quite random collection in that notebook. But what happened to move me on from having the cards and starting to have a structure, but not really, not feeling ready to put something really, really, really good together, because a lot of books out there is going to be really, really good.
Yes.
Without setting anyone off on judging it themselves.
No, true.
So the difference was being invited to go into a process, because I really needed the support of being in a process and having somebody else setting my deadlines.
Yes, I've heard that quite a bit so far. And in particular, I'm hearing people say, in particular for your first book, everything, to make it less overwhelming is, have somebody guide you through the process, have somebody you're accountable to, regarding deadlines or what needs to be done then, because of course we are coaches and we're self-motivated, etc. But just like, we're there for other people, asking them the questions, we also need that too, as we all know. So you found that particularly helpful, having paying for somebody then to guide you through the process.
I did, yes. And sorry, ask me one more thing. I had a thought, but
no, just about the helpfulness of, indeed, at least for your first one, or if not for all of them, doing it as in part of a cohort, part of a group, with guided.
Yes, that's right. And that in a sense it's almost like I needed scaffolding.
Yes,
I'll mention that word again. But the important part of it was, it wasn't just being helped to structure my work, but she was teaching us very, very valuable things. And I think if anybody says, who should I go to, I would say go to Debs Jenkins and see what she's up to, and you'll find her on LinkedIn. But one of her important points was, you've really got to be clear about who you're writing it for.
Right.
And another one of her points, without going into every last thing that she does, I couldn't, because it takes her oodles. You know, she's got a book out alongside mine called Stop Writing Books Nobody Reads.
Oh, good point.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we really are, you know, she's quite strong with this. It's to, what are the struggles? She'd probably talk about the pains. I prefer the word struggles. You know, what are people going through that they need your book, and that gets included. And it was things like that I hadn't done. I'd kind of launched into the importance of heartfelt listening and the importance of intentional well-being, and how that's, you know, different from other ways that people might be doing things. So I've got these lovely 9 chapters with lots of interesting things in, but it needed that I needed a lot of help with structure in that sense, structure from the point of view that it's easy for the reader and it's a gift for them, and they can say,
and that they stay interested, that they see what's in it for me, as in it's really responding to their need. And I think that is true, because yes, we all know, and the reason also for this program is that so many people are recognizing the value of having your own book. I mean, what would you say having your own books has done for you?
The first one gave me an incredible network and some good coaching clients. This one has given me a lot of confidence, but now I'm in the stage to go out and sell it. I've got a lot of work to do because it only came out at the beginning of November. But you know, through that process, we were taking through exactly how to get it out on Amazon and do that whole thing. And as a result of the help with structure and what to do when, I was inspired to get in touch with a whole bunch of people who've written beautiful endorsements in the book, and they've all popped up on Amazon and said good things. So it's up there with, last time I looked, about 11, 10, I can't remember, 10 or 11 really nice reviews on there.
Right. So that's also a very important point, because of course, you know, we keep talking about writing, but from lots of authors, I've understood that actually writing's the easiest bit compared to all the rest, you know, the publishing, of course, you've got, it depends if you're having it done, or if you found a publisher, or if it's self-published. But I mean, there's an awful lot of work apart from the words, you know, there's the editing, and then the internal design, the book cover, and then indeed the last step, which is actually, okay, you've got then your masterpiece there in your hands, you know, but you've got to get it out there. It doesn't just sell itself. It doesn't.
And because it's a slow coach approach, I can't rush out there.
Yes.
That's not my way. I can't, you know, suddenly, you know, buy my book now. Oh, I'd love
yeah.
But no, it's meant, oh, okay, I'm going on this. I'm doing this interview with you. I've got a podcast that's planned. Somebody's helping me to do a series of podcasts. You're talking to me about coming on your podcast, and so on. So this is my way of starting to fiddle around on LinkedIn. I'm going to be offering a little course as a freebie for people who've got the book. That takes them, they get a series of I mean, I'd love feedback from people, and anybody who's interested in contacting me.
That's clever.
And I'll be sort of sending out an email every Monday with a suggestion. First week will be something to do with chapter 1. Thursday, then the point is you have to email back in and say what you did.
Right. No, so that's good. So we're not talking about just a book, there we are, done it. I mean, this book is very much integrated. So, I mean, first of all, as you said, the connections that it's brought you, just even the doing it, right? The making it, but also then, you know, I mean, there's a lot about credibility, about being an expert in your area. You know, some people don't even sell them, right? They give them as like almost like a business card sort of thing. And I liked what you said as well, that as coaches, you know, not everybody can afford to have a coach. So it can also be an introduction that they then see, okay, so what is it? How does it work? What can I do for myself? And then, of course, indirectly, it very probably will, and hopefully will, lead to more clients who sort of say, well, look, great, loved your book, love your approach, but I'm aware that I'm not managing to fully do it in the depth that it needs to be done on my own. You know, can I use your services?
Yes. And I'm thinking that, you know, all the coaches I've ever met, and I'm sure that's true of everybody who's watching this, absolutely delightful people with interesting personal takes on life. So it's not just that you've done your training, but it's that you've made something your own and worked with your own life experiences. So in the book, there's my stories, from different times in life
Yeah.
as examples of things. And people are liking those. The
Right.
things, they like them. And there's things to do in each chapter. And there's a little, a star diagram model to fill in as you go along for your achievements.
I'm going to get it, actually. It sounds really good. It does. It sounds really good. And I like your first one as well about the good question. I think, as coaches, we can always broaden our horizon. It doesn't matter how many years we've been coaching. There's a huge power in the perfect question, right? That aha moment. Okay, but so I'm hearing you say indeed lots of things.
There's this diagram, that's the star diagram, and each one is one of the 9 chapters of the book.
Nice.
And each time you do one of the activities from one of those chapters, you get ideally a gold pen or a orange pen, and you fill in a little star next time you do it. And the point is to get right to the middle, and then in the middle that big star says IROI, and that's your interpersonal return on investment that you've been building.
Very clever. Very clever.
So in a nutshell, what I've done is, and this is why writing the book and writing in this way under pressure, and also giving myself the freedom to have time to write each part, to really get into it, is I've actually articulated to myself what my coaching system is. It's not the copy of that or that or that other person's system. So, and what I've wanted to end up as, because we're coaches, we don't want to add another load of problems to people. So this is the slow coach system that you now have to use, as well as all your other personality inventories and this system. And for leaders, who knows what they're doing in terms of keeping the maths of the business going and all of that. It's an approach, it's a way to be oneself, that communicates differently to other people and gives people.
And so it's in all areas, right? It's not just as a coach, it's as a coach with clients. It's literally, it becomes a part of us and how we operate. And I do love what you said also about the unique aspect, because I do think that a lot of us have gone through phases of, suddenly everybody's a coach and half of them don't even have accreditations or anything. And you sort of feel, I know I certainly went through a phase. I mean, I accredited in 2009. So then I was still quite, new in the field. And then at some point, especially I was sort of a traveling spouse of a diplomat, every single person I met was a coach of some form, just, very well-meaning and wanting to help others. But it got to a point where I thought, actually, I want to distance myself from this. But it is the fact that how many coaches there are out there is actually irrelevant. We are all unique in how we approach it, in how our life story has affected how we coach other people. And that, I think, is very important to not forget. Added also to that question that you said, who is the book for?
Yes.
It has to be really targeted, right? It has to,
Yeah, it does. And another hope I have is that for coaches, it's a useful book, because as coaches, they're working with leaders.
Yes.
Whether it's a good resource for them. And one of the people who's read and wrote an endorsement, she's going to recommend it to people in teams that she works with on resilience trainings.
Right.
So it's kind of my one is a tool to share. And whatever, for your, everybody watching this, whoever your clients are or potential clients are, is what you're creating a resource for them to use with other people as well? That's another layer of it.
Right.
And also you have title has been quite targeted. And I've called it How Good-Hearted Leaders, not just leaders.
Yes. Yes.
Which is not to say that, I'm sure every leader can be good-hearted, but I've already kind of
no, exactly. You've made it's a certain category of people also, right?
The people who actually are feeling good-hearted and they want to create positive change.
Yeah, and not everybody does them. Some people are still very clear that that's not what they're about.
Or it's not their focus at the moment. They're just trying to survive. They're just paddling along trying to...
One thing, actually, you just mentioned title. How hard was it to actually come up with the title? Did you know the title first and then worked on the book, or did the...
I had the slow coach ages ago, and then there's somebody out there called a slow. I'm not the slow coach, by the way. I just want you know, lots of people to do slow coaching.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
which is very different. I'm not, my legacy is not to be the one.
Yes.
It's to put out some things. Yeah, okay. The other thing, before I forget it, the other important thing in this is that I think as coaches, it's quite hard to articulate what the heck we do. And the struggle in this for me in writing it down was, well, I know what I do, but how do I?
Yes. How do I make it clear to others?
How do you write that? You know, how do you? What I do is give people a good space for what they need for expressing, being heard, whatever.
Yes.
So finding ways to articulate that and turn it into a system, that helped me evolve my own coaching, if that makes sense.
I hear you. Yeah, it does make sense. And I can imagine it being a wonderful feeling to have. You know, when you crystallize for yourself what you do, what you believe in, what it is that you want to give, it's fantastic. It's like a little nugget that we know who we are.
You know, it's a physical thing. They talk about thoughts becoming things.
Right.
It's an incredible feeling. And to have 4 people that I bumped into in town have just bought one on the spot for 10 quid.
Wow, how good is that, right?
Maybe this will work, you know.
Right. So, okay, I mean, I thank you for this, Judy. I mean, I thank you for your tips. I thank you for the wholehearted approach. You know, you've literally shared the ups and the downs as well. And I mean, I very much like the fact, I mean, just what you said also proves the value added of doing it, not just because we should, because everybody else is, but because of the, you know, it's getting what we do and what we believe in out there. And also for ourselves, crystallizing really into, you know, who am I, what do I stand for, and what is my message? You know, what is my answer to their pain? You know, what can I help people with? And as you said, I mean, your book, the slow coach approach isn't, you know, it's for leaders, it's for coaches, it's for, you know, everybody just in our daily approach to life. And I mean, that's a very valuable thing to have. We have literally 2 minutes left. Is there any final word of advice you would have for the wannabe authors amongst the coaches listening to us today at IAPC&M?
When you're writing, allow yourself to be yourself and allow the stories that you feel you really want to be told, write them down. They might not. I've got lots that didn't end up in the book. I might use them in another way. But I think the stories really help people. They know you're a real person. And the other one is that it's okay to describe, not to appear perfect.
Right.
It's quite comforting for the reader, you know, if you say, well, I'm not always very good at that or whatever.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And I mean, you have to start somewhere as well. So if we're talking about our first book, maybe in 10 years, we look back and think, ooh, but hey, we have to start somewhere. And also that idea of it doesn't matter if you've got a lot of content, you know, at some point you can decide that can go into a second book. It's not just, this is it. I've got to get my Opus Dei absolutely perfect. Otherwise I've failed. This is the first book that you're bringing out. Judy, thank you very, very much.
It's only 130 pages. So it doesn't have to be an encyclopedia. That's my final tip.
Yes, and I think that is a good one, especially nowadays. People are reading less and they want it, you know, more condensed and concise rather than a Tolstoy version like we may be used to. Judy, thank you. Good luck with the promotion of your book. And looking forward to already hearing about the next one. For the rest of you out there, I hope that Judy's words here have convinced you and enthused you that you too can get your book out there, and that maybe it is right to start with getting the help that we need to make sure that, you know, we actually take it all the way to the end and join the prestigious 3% only of authors who make it all the way till the end. Thank you very much. And Judy, all the very best.
Thank you. It's been very nice being there for all of you. I can't see you, but it's nice to know you're out there and listening.